What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to my Nightmare Matchup series where I break down nightmare matchups for champions in every division. And this will be my 2024 edition. I've done two already in 2022 and 2023. And last year was a chaotic year. We've seen about 9 different champions last year, whether it be through winning the vacant title, which happened about 3 times, and about 6 fighters last year were successful in their attempts at dethroning their respective former champions. But now we move on to the new year, and to already start the year 2024, we have 2 new champions. Talk about a fresh start. And I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more title changes this calendar year 2024, a lot more chaos, a lot of new champions. And the weight class I'm going to start with is the strawweight division, and still your strawweight champion is Magnum Zhang Weili, 2-time champ over the last 5 years, and she's massively progressing fight by fight. She's already an explosive striker, but her wrestling game is catching up. She can mix it up, and she has multiple different ways she can beat you, and she's got insane fight IQ, and only one woman in her UFC run has been able to stop her, not once but twice. That was Thug Rose Namajunas, but now she's out of the picture of full-time flyweight, and that win has aged exceptionally well. And it just seems like, man, Weili is in a league of her own. She's got the division to herself now that Rose is away. However, there's always someone out there that can beat you. We've seen this before with her, but there is someone else. And this someone is a specialist at a particular area that makes her almost unstoppable. And it's going to be the same person I included last year. And this woman's name is Tatiana Suarez. Like I predicted, she was going to pick up right where she left off when she would return to the strawweight division. She came back to strawweight with a dominant performance and finish over Jessica Andrade to crack the top 5. And she is even closer to a title shot and a fight with the champion Zhang Weili, which is a very scary prospect for the champ Weili. Without a doubt, Suarez is a threat to the throne of Zhang because of her dominant wrestling style that seems to work on all of her opponents. She's able to impose it on everybody, no matter who she's fighting, and it seems like so far no one's been able to neutralize that part of her game, and she could purely dominate Zhang with her wrestling alone. Along with that wrestling game, she has suffocating top control, along with crushing ground and pound and an ever-evolving submission game, and she just got her black belt in jiu-jitsu. So Zhang wouldn't just need to worry about being taken down, controlled, ground and pounded. She's got to worry about submissions too. Suarez also may have a physicality advantage over Zhang, which is not very common. Usually Zhang is the bigger, more physically stronger opponent, but not this time. I think Suarez is bigger, might even be stronger too. So she could potentially manhandle Zhang when it comes to the grappling exchanges. And I just feel like Zhang would have such a hard time fighting her fight against someone like Tatiana Suarez, because Tatiana's style is almost like a counter, a kryptonite to Weili's style, to everything that she does so well. Everything that she's good at almost puts her in danger and in such a disadvantage against Suarez, because Zhang Weili is a short-range striker who needs to get on the inside to land to get off her shots, but that could leave her open to the takedowns of Tatiana. Zhang Weili is a kick-heavy striker, but Tatiana is good at catching kicks and using that to get the fight to the ground. Weili in this fight would need to be cautious at everything from closing the distance to throwing her kicks. She'd really have to worry about the takedown threat against Tatiana Suarez, and if anyone at strawweight right now is beating her, it is Tatiana, and the level of danger that Suarez brings to this matchup will be a 7 out of 10. And the next division I'm going to be talking about is the women's flyweight division, and still your women's flyweight champion is Alexa Grasso. She came out with not necessarily a win over Valentina. It was a close fight, ended up being a draw, but Grasso remains on top. And I mean, Alexa Grasso has been ever impressive in the last 4 years since she came to the women's flyweight division. 5-0-1 at flyweight, arguably 6-0. She could hold 2 wins over Shevchenko. She has massively evolved from just a boxer to now a boxer who can take you down, a boxer who can threaten you with jiu-jitsu, with submissions, who can scramble well. She is truly coming into her own and entering her prime, which is scary for a lot of these contenders. However, in that last fight against Shevchenko, she came the closest she's ever been to losing her belt on only her first title defense, which opens up a lot of eyes for the fans watching and even the contenders. And this honestly just shows me how much more of a threat that Erin Blanchfield is to Alexa Grasso, and she will remain the number 1 nightmare matchup because in the last fight, Grasso still showed a massive weakness in her takedown defense. As much as she has evolved overall as a well-rounded fighter, she still seems to struggle when it comes to being able to stay upright when someone with a really good takedown ability attempts a takedown. And Erin Blanchfield is the wrestling specialist of the women's flyweight division. Tyler Santos was able to defend a lot of takedowns. I do not believe Grasso could do the same. Erin Blanchfield also has a size, strength advantage on Alexa Grasso. And she's got a bigger finishing ability once getting the fight to the ground than Valentina Shevchenko. Because she won't just hold you down for points. She will take you down and she'll get you in a dominant position, start working ground and pound, or looking for submissions. And her submission game is ultimately what really worries me for the champion, because she knows how to end the fight, you know, with her jiu-jitsu. The way she was able to easily submit Jessica Andrade, who's not easy to finish on the ground, the way she's been able to quickly submit other girls, that could be Alexa's fate. Although I don't think she'll easily smoke her on the ground, because Grasso is a different level from other women she has fought. I think she'll still have an easy time getting the fight to the ground, and Grasso will have a hard time getting back to her feet and imposing her boxing game. Grasso will have a really big uphill battle to climb to win this fight, to defend her belt against Erin Blanchfield. And the level of danger, it remains in the 7 range, but not a 7.5. I believe that's a bit of a stretch, but she's still a big threat to the champion. And the second runner-up will be her last opponent, who she's fought twice already, Valentina Bullet Shevchenko, who came extremely close both times to beating Alexa Grasso. And the second fight was more worrisome than the first fight, because going into fight 2, it seemed like Valentina Shevchenko kind of figured out Grasso's game. She adapted to the boxing. Grasso seemed to hold less of a boxing advantage in the second fight than she did in the first fight. Valentina was a lot harder to hit. She was able to impose her kicks, and all around, like I said in the last Nightmare Matchup video, her striking game is all around better than Alexa Grasso, and she's still a massive threat with the takedowns, with the wrestling. And in 2 fights, Alexa has not been able to shut down that area of Valentina Shevchenko's game. Valentina Shevchenko showed she can take down Grasso over and over and hold her down, and now she showed that she can also outstrike Alexa Grasso better than what she was able to do in the first fight. And she showed in that second fight, even late into her 30s with such a long career and all that mileage, she still has an ability to make improvements in her game, because she looked massively improved in that second fight, which just worries me for fight 3, because we can see an even better Valentina Shevchenko pushing 36 years old. She's got the experience, she's got the greatness factor, Just her overall experience and confidence of being a dominant, long-reigning champion is always going to sort of play into Valentina Shevchenko's advantage against Alexa Grasso. And no matter how many times these two fight, I believe Valentina is always going to be a hard matchup for the champion, Alexa Grasso. And now moving up a weight class into the women's bantamweight division. Now with the absence, the retirement of the great Amanda the Lioness Nunes, we now have a brand new women's bantamweight champion after 8 years. Not named Amanda Nunes or Juliana Pena, but Amanda has been the dominant force of this division. Only lost once between two reigns. But now Raquel Pennington is the bantamweight champion, unsuspecting champion. She's been a very slept on fighter. She was the dark horse of this division before being able to work her way back to this position to now become the champion. Now with her being the champion and Nunes being gone, this really opens up the division. Now we're going to start to see the women's bantamweight division look a lot more competitive, a lot more interesting. And there are a lot of women in this division that have a very good shot now at becoming the champion. And Raquel is very beatable. And one of her nightmare matchups will be a familiar foe, someone who's beaten her in the past. And this woman is a returning fighter after a long layoff. And her name is Germaine the Iron Lady Durandamy. A very high-level, seasoned kickboxer, best striker in the women's bantamweight division. No one in this weight class can go up against her stand-up. Not even the great Amanda Nunes, who's known to be fierce in that department, wanted any problems with the striking of Germaine, turned into a wrestler. And Germaine Durandamy already pieced up Raquel Pennington and dominated the fight, shut her down in the stand-up, and destroyed Raquel Pennington, defended takedowns, overall just outstruck her. And Raquel Pennington hasn't really evolved much since the last time they fought, and hasn't really showed me anything to state that if these two do run it back, the outcome would be any different. So the level of danger will be an 8 out of 10 for Raquel Pennington. And the second runner-up is another familiar foe, someone that she's already beaten in the past, Irene Aldana. But it was an extremely close fight that could have gone either way. Arguably could have gone Aldana's way, but Irene Aldana has massively evolved from that first fight, more so than Raquel Pennington. Her boxing skills from that first fight remain the same, but it's her overall ground game, grappling, defensive grappling that's improved from the first fight. Nowadays, she'll attack with submissions more so than she would back then, and very threatening with them as well. She's came close on some submission attempts, like against Macy Chasson, so that's something that Pennington would have to watch out for. But Aldana has become even harder to take down than she used to be in the past. Much better takedown defense now, and much better scrambling ability today than she had back then. And as I already mentioned, the boxing of Aldana, her boxing is something that I believe can match Raquel. She can go up against Pennington's boxing, but with a lot more punching power, enough power to do damage in the exchanges against Pennington. But her body work is nasty as well. Very dangerous body shots. She's a threat to Raquel Pennington on the feet. And if Raquel Pennington is unable to get this fight to the ground frequently enough times or control Aldana in the cage, this is going to be a very difficult fight for Pennington and a long night. And in a rematch with the improvements Aldana has made, she has a very good shot at avenging this loss and dethroning the champion, Raquel Pennington. And now the third runner-up will be a former champion and a potential future opponent for the current champ Raquel, Juliana Pena, the Venezuelan vixen, who I believe will be a way tougher fight for Raquel than her last opponent, Mayra Bueno Silva, because unlike Silva, Juliana Pena, she's got that toughness to her. She's got more experience than Silva, and Silva slowed down against Raquel. Juliana Pena does not slow down. She's got cardio for days. Her gas tank is her strong suit. She can go all day with Raquel Pennington. And she's got insane heart. She does not give up. She's extremely relentless at everything she does. And she's got better output than anyone else in the women's bantamweight division, and just has such a smothering pressure style that I believe Raquel would struggle with. And I do think that in this matchup, she would be in for a dogfight against Juliana Pena. And on top of that, Juliana Pena is also a good grappler. Her wrestling is good, and I do think she does have a takedown threat on Raquel. She could take Pennington to the ground. She could also take Raquel in the clinch as well. I do think that Raquel Pennington, in this matchup against Pena, she will have her hands full. And now we move on to the men's flyweight division. And now your new men's flyweight champion is Alexandre Pantoja. Won the title in July in a Fight of the Night trilogy against Brandon Moreno. Alexandre Pantoja is an extremely difficult style to deal with because he is a threat everywhere. He's like a brawler, grappler. He's a threat on the feet. He's got knockout power, but then he can also take you down, control you, submit you on the ground. He's got some of the best back takes in the division, and he's super durable. This guy is like a zombie. Very scary fighter to go up against. However, the men's flyweight division is very competitive. There are a few guys I see in this division who do have a good chance at beating him, and this may sound crazy, but the nightmare matchup I'm choosing for him is a guy that he already has 3 wins over, and this is a guy who Pantoja is supposed to be a kryptonite to, but I'm going with Brandon the Assassin Baby Moreno. Even though Brandon is behind in this fight series, he came the closest to beating Pantoja in that last fight. It was a split decision. Brandon Moreno is extremely durable. He can handle the power of Pantoja. He can weather the early storm of Pantoja. I believe he's got a better gas tank than Alexandre Pantoja, and he can keep up with Pantoja on the ground unlike any other flyweight. He scrambles well, he can get back to his feet, but even when they're on the ground, he's extremely hard to submit. And I believe on the feet, he's better than Pantoja. He was piecing him up past the first round. Pantoja mainly won that fight because of his grappling. But if Brandon Moreno, in a potential 4th fight, could perfect his takedown defense, which is easier said than done, then he has a very good chance at avenging the loss to Pantoja. And the second runner-up will be Kai Don't Blink Kara France, another man that Pantoja has a win over. But unironically enough, I do believe that Kara France could be the perfect counter to Pantoja's style, because I believe that Kai Kara France is better on the feet than Pantoja. He's got the power to threaten Pantoja in the stand-up. He can outgun him, but then even when it comes to the grappling, Kai Kara France has very solid takedown defense. But then even when you take him down, he's so hard to finish on the ground. Good submission defense, good rear naked choke defense, and that's like Pantoja's best submission. And then even when it comes to cardio, I believe Kai Kara France has a better gas tank than Pantoja. Usually Pantoja goes hard early, kind of slows down late, but is able to blanket his opponents to kind of get rest. But against Kai Kara France, that might not be an option. If he can't finish him early and he struggles to impose his grappling and he's forced to stand and bang with Kai Kara France, Pantoja does rely on his chin a lot, and Kai could be the first person to potentially knock Pantoja out. And the third runner-up will be a third fighter who Pantoja already has a win over, Manal Kape. He beat him, but that was in Manal's UFC debut where jitters were a factor. He did start slow but had success late in the fight, but I do expect in a rematch to see a more confident Manal Kape who pushes the pace way earlier. Manal Kape has a technical striking advantage. He's one of the best kickboxers, if not the best kickboxer in the men's flyweight division. He's got power in every strike, from his punches to his kicks. He's faster than Pantoja, and I do believe that he could pick Alexandre Pantoja apart and also defend his takedowns and win a striking match. And now moving up to the men's bantamweight division. The men's bantamweight champion is Sugar Sean O'Malley. He lived up to his star potential, his overall fight potential. He proved he was not all hype when he knocked out Aljamain Sterling to become the men's bantamweight champion. However, this division is extremely competitive, and there are a lot of stylistic threats to O'Malley who could give him a hard time. And one of them being someone who's beaten him in the past 4 years ago, and that's going to be Sean O'Malley's next opponent, Marlon Chito Vera. Marlon Vera is a veteran who's extremely tough. He's been there, done that. He's been 5 rounds multiple times before, so we know that his cardio is good, but he's also unfinishable, which does counter Sean O'Malley's finishing ability. He's known as a knockout artist, but will he be able to put away Chito Vera? That's very unlikely. In this fight, O'Malley may be forced to go all 5 rounds with Vera, and he's got to be cautious every single round because Vera is always in the fight, always dangerous. He always has that threat of being able to finish the fight. And like I said, he does not slow down. We've seen O'Malley in some fights slow down as the fight goes on. He's already been finished by Vera before. Vera has a very good shot at finishing him again. So I do not believe this will be an easy matchup for Sean O'Malley. It will be very tough to pitter-patter Chito Vera for all 5 rounds without taking any damage. Sean O'Malley could get it done, but it's going to be tough, and the level of danger that Chito Vera brings to this matchup against Sean O'Malley will be a 6.5 out of 10, and the runner-up will be Merab Dvalishvili, who I believe is a very difficult style matchup for the champion, Sugar Sean O'Malley. He brings something unique to the table that O'Malley hasn't really had to deal with before. O'Malley hasn't fought many wrestlers. I mean, I know he fought Aljamain Sterling, but no one to the level of wrestling of a guy like Merab Dvalishvili. I believe his takedowns are a lot more difficult to defend than Aljamain Sterling. He's a lot more relentless with his takedown attempts than Aljo. I believe he pressures better than Aljamain Sterling, much better at cutting off the octagon, closing that space for Sean O'Malley to work his technical striking. Merab Dvalishvili is also very durable, and he's very smart with how he closes the distance. He knows not to walk into counters, so it'll be tough for Sean O'Malley to catch Merab the way he was able to catch Sterling, and I could easily see Merab having similar wrestling success that Peter Yan was able to have. And Merab Dvalishvili, I believe, has the best cardio in the men's bantamweight division. And we know Sean O'Malley, he can slow down. So Merab does have potential to melt Sean O'Malley if he can't get Merab out of there in the early rounds. And the third runner-up will be Corey Sandhagen, a very similar style and body type and stature to Sean O'Malley, the same height, tall and long for the men's bantamweight division, a very good technical striker who moves around a lot, just that his boxing isn't as good as Sean O'Malley, but he's like a mirror copy of O'Malley, but with more experience, and he's way more well-rounded than Sean O'Malley as well, I believe. He's got the toughness as well. He's got very good fight IQ. He's kind of like Sean O'Malley if Sean O'Malley had good offensive wrestling. So he can threaten O'Malley in that area as well as keeping up with him in the striking. And O'Malley's never really fought a guy who's as tall as him, so I believe that dynamic would be interesting. And I do believe this would definitely be one of the more difficult style matchups for O'Malley in the men's bantamweight division. And next up, we got the featherweight division. Alexander the Great Volkanovski is the featherweight champion. He's been so since 2019. One of the most dominant champs in UFC history since Jon Jones, since Demetrius Johnson. It just seems like removing the belt from this guy is like a next to impossible task because of how great Volkanovski is. You know, he is maybe the best striker we've seen in the featherweight division. And he's got an amazing gas tank. His wrestling is good too. He's the complete package, man. But if there is one guy who I believe could challenge him, this may be the last man with the best shot at dethroning Volk. It's him or no one, and that's going to be Ilia Topuria. He is the nightmare matchup for Alexander the Great Volkanovski. He is a unique challenge to the champion because usually Volkanovski has been accustomed to fighting guys who are taller than him, being the shorter fighter, beating up taller opponents, outboxing everyone. But for the first time in a while, he's fighting another short, stocky, explosive fighter, much like himself. Except this time, I don't think Volk will hold such a boxing advantage like he has in the past. Ilia Topuria just might be the better boxer of the two. He is the boxing specialist in this matchup. Very dangerous in the pocket. He's got one-shot knockout power. He could definitely clip Volkanovski, but he's also very well-rounded. I think the grappling would cancel each other out because Ilia Topuria also has good wrestling. His jiu-jitsu is also good. So I do believe this fight will primarily be a striking match where Volk will be in danger. And he just got knocked out a few months ago. That chin may not be entirely fresh. And Ilia Topuria also has cardio for days. We saw that in his last fight with Emmett. He's dangerous every round. So Volkanovski, every single round is going to need to be on point because the one moment he has a lapse in judgment, he could find himself getting clipped and finished by Ilia El Matador Topuria. Ilia's got the youth. He's undefeated and he's confident. He's got that momentum. And if anyone in this division is going to beat Volk, it's going to be this man, Ilia. And the level of danger that Topuria brings to this matchup with Alexander Volkanovski will be a 7 out of 10. And now we have the lightweight division where the champion is Islam Makhachev, who's had that belt for the last year and a half, defended it twice against Alexander Volkanovski, beat Charles Oliveira to win the belt, and these two fighters he beat were on long win streaks. He ended the win streaks of both of them. And just so far, throughout his whole UFC career, Islam has looked dominant, unstoppable. He's the pound for pound number one. I mean, this guy is like the complete package. He's good everywhere, dominant with his wrestling skills, but very good striker as well. As we saw in his last 3 fights, and he can knock you out on the feet like we saw against Alexander Volkanovski and when he dropped Charles Oliveira, which led to the submission. However, nobody is invincible, and if there is one guy in the division who could challenge Islam Makhachev, who could be the nightmare matchup, I believe it's Arman Tsarukyan. These two actually fought way back in the day, and they had a very close and competitive fight. Both guys improved massively since, but I still believe that it would be a hard fight for Islam Makhachev because Arman Tsarukyan matches the wrestling of Islam, so Islam can't really dominate him with the wrestling like he's able to do to other opponents. Arman Tsarukyan matches the physicality, the strength of Islam Makhachev. And both guys are very good on the feet and powerful, so I do believe the striking between the two would be competitive and it would look like a very close fight. It would not be one of those one-sided Islam Makhachev beatdowns that you're used to seeing. This is a guy who can keep up with Makhachev everywhere, and that is the only way you're going to be able to beat Islam Makhachev. If you're as well-rounded as a guy like Arman, then you have a very good chance. And the level of danger that Arman Tsarukyan brings to this matchup will be a 6 out of 10. And the next weight class I'll talk about is the welterweight division. And still the welterweight champion is Leon Rocky Edwards. He defied the odds by winning the title. No one thought he'd really be able to repeat history against Usman. He did. And then he went out there, beat a similar style in Colby Covington. And now he's eliminated 2 nightmare matchups I had for him, leaving 1 left. And that man is Shavkat Rakhmonov, a very well-rounded fighter who can keep up with Leon Edwards everywhere. When it comes to technical striking, Shavkat Rakhmonov has that. He's got the knockout power to threaten Leon Edwards. He can kick with Leon Edwards, a very good kickboxer like Leon Edwards, but he's got the wrestling threat on Leon Edwards, and he's got dangerous jiu-jitsu, a dangerous submission game. So Leon will have a lot to worry about when fighting a guy like Shavkat Rakhmonov. Shavkat very well may just be a kryptonite to Leon Edwards and the one to dethrone Leon. We'll just have to see. I won't be surprised at all if that's the case. And the level of danger that Shavkat brings to this matchup is an 8 out of 10. Now, moving on to the middleweight division. The middleweight champion, surprisingly, but now in hindsight, not so surprisingly, Dricus Du-Plessis, a South African tank, a physical specimen of a man, very physically strong, and very well-rounded, good striker. Striking is very awkward and sloppy, but it's effective, and he's got knockout power in both hands, but he also has very good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu as well. He's like the complete package. And what's so scary about Dricus Du-Plessis is that he was known to once have a weakness in cardio, but in his last fight with Strickland, he showed he can go all 5 rounds. That's a scary prospect for anyone fighting him because they have no hope of dragging him late to have a better chance at winning. And Dricus is deceptively smart, and he's getting better every single fight. But now with the fallout of the dominant champ Israel Adesanya, this division has opened up and it's very competitive, and there's a lot of guys who have a good chance at beating Dricus Du-Plessis. And the nightmare matchup for Dricus Du-Plessis is going to be Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier. Scariest matchup for Dricus Du-Plessis in the division because Jared Cannonier is a knockout artist like Dricus, but with better, more technical, more accurate striking, good counter puncher as well. And it's dangerous to fight Jared Cannonier the way that Dricus Du-Plessis does. Throwing down and exchanging with this guy is like a death wish. Jared Cannonier also has great 5-round cardio as well, so he's going to be dangerous every single round, and he also has very solid takedown defense. And the level of danger that Jared Cannonier brings to this matchup will be a 6.5 out of 10. And the second runner-up will be Khamzat Boris Chimaev, a very strong, powerful, explosive, and durable fighter, much like Dricus Du-Plessis. However, I do believe he has a better wrestling and ground game than Dricus. And this is one of the very few guys in this division who can not only out-wrestle Dricus Du-Plessis, but he's got potential to manhandle Dricus Du-Plessis as well. And if he can fix his cardio and pacing, this could be a very dangerous fight for the champion, Dricus Du-Plessis, a fight that I could very well see him losing and potentially even being dominated. And the third runner-up will be Israel, the last stylebender, Adesanya, Dricus' potential next title defense. Israel Adesanya, his style is sort of built around beating guys like Du-Plessis. He's got experience going up against brawlers, knockout artists, and grapplers. That's everything Dricus Du-Plessis is. A tough, aggressive, dangerous marauder. He's like a bull to Israel Adesanya's matador. Israel Adesanya is an elusive, kickboxer with dangerous counter-punching ability and good defensive footwork to negate the forward pressure of Dricus Du-Plessis. Solid takedown defense to go with it as well. So if Izzy can turn up on his best night, I could see him beating Dricus through simply stuffing takedowns and piecing him up. And now we go to the light heavyweight division where the champion is Alex Pereira. This guy has had a very fast rise in his UFC career. He came and he conquered in both weight classes, middleweight and now light heavyweight, where he won the belt last November against Yuri Prochazka. Very dangerous striker, one-shot knockout power in both hands, but particularly in that left hook. But it's not just that left hook you got to worry about. It's those calf kicks of Alex, and he is improving in his overall MMA game. His takedown defense is something that's gotten better, which makes him scary for anyone to go up against. Alex Pereira is a worthy champion. However, there are a couple guys in this division who I do think match well with him. And one of the nightmare matchups for Alex will be Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev threatens him in the wrestling department, but he can also keep up with Alex Pereira on the feet, be competitive in the stand-up, but has potential to even be dominant on the ground against Alex Pereira, because even though Alex is improving in that area, Alex Pereira has yet to be tested against an actual really good wrestler. He got taken down by Yuri Prochazka, who is a striker, not a wrestler. Wrestling is where Magomed excels, even better than Jan Blachowicz, who had that wrestling success against him. And Ankalaev also has knockout power on the feet as well, something for Alex to look out for. So the level of danger that Magomed brings to this matchup against Alex Pereira will be a 6 out of 10. And the second nightmare matchup for Alex Pereira in this weight class will be Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill, one of the best strikers in the light heavyweight division, on par with Alex Pereira, but I believe he also has better boxing than Alex Pereira. He's got a very good, patient boxing style to deal with Alex's striking, because he'll know not to run into anything. He's got very deceptively good defense, but also a good chin, very durable, good cardio, and he's got one-shot knockout power. He's got the threat of being able to knock Alex Pereira out. We've seen Pereira get rocked, laid out before by Israel Adesanya, and if Israel could put him out, I have no doubt that Jamal Hill could do the same. And the final weight class I'm going to go over is the heavyweight division, where the champion is none other than the one and only Jon Jones, the greatest fighter of all time, who won the heavyweight belt in March last year. Hasn't fought since. He was supposed to fight Stipe in November, and with that fight being canceled, emerged a new contender and a new threat to Jon Jones, who fought on that card, won the interim title, and his name is Tom Aspinall. I believe Tom Aspinall matches perfectly with Jon Jones. He's got the size, he's well-rounded, more so than Jon Jones's last opponent. Jon Jones's last opponent, Ciryl Gane, had a hole in his grappling game. The grappling is one of Tom Aspinall's biggest strengths, so I imagine he might be very difficult for Jones to take down. And on the feet, Aspinall is dangerous for Jon Jones, because you got a guy who can take Jon Jones at kicking range, a guy who can take Jon Jones in boxing range as well. I believe his boxing is a lot better than Jon Jones, and Jon Jones has always struggled with guys who have good boxing, and Tom Aspinall also has the power to threaten Jon Jones. He's lightning fast as well, a lot of speed and snappiness behind his shots, very good footwork as well. Jon Jones is a lot slower now at this age that he's in, and no one stays undefeated forever. No one is invincible. Every dog has its day, and if Jon Jones is going to lose to anyone, it could be to none other than Tom Aspinall if this matchup does end up happening. And the level of danger that Tom brings to this matchup against Jon Jones is a 7 out of 10. However, that does conclude my Nightmare Matchup Series Part 3 2024 edition. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Hope you enjoyed the video, and peace out.